Good evening. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Wilson County Board of Education meeting for September 18th, 2023. Members of the board, you have the agenda before you. What is your pleasure?
Madam Chair,
Mrs. Powell,
I move that we approve the agenda for the September 18th, 2023 Wilson County Board of Education.
Second.
it has been moved by Mrs. Powell, seconded by Mr. Boykin, that we approve the agenda for the September 18th, 2023 Wilson County Board of Education meeting. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, let it be known by the sign of aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Let the record reflect that the motion carries unanimously. Please know that the meeting is being televised on Spectrum and Greenlight Channel 22 and live streamed through the Wilson County Schools YouTube channel. The public can also view the meeting through links on the Wilson County Schools Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages, and the Wilson County Schools website. Members of the board and the audience, Mr. Boykin will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to be followed by a moment of silence. Please join us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members of the board, you had before you on your tables minutes of the September 14th, 2023 work session, and in your board packets, the minutes of the August 21st, 2023 regular board meeting. What is your pleasure in regard to these two sets of minutes?
Madam Chair,
Mrs. Barnes?
before making a motion, if you look on page 9 of our regular Monday, August 21st meeting,
Yes?
it's at the last bullet before the D. Should that not be the class of 2023 earned a total of 521 graduate endorsements?
That was on page 9.
On page 9.
Class of 2023, yes.
Okay. With that correction, Madam Chair, I move that the minutes of the August 21st regular board meeting 2023 be approved, as well as the work session of September 14th, 2023.
Second.
It has been moved by Mrs. Barnes, seconded by Mrs. Boyette, that the minutes of the August 21st, 2023 meeting, with the correction on page 9, giving the year 2023 instead of 2022, and the minutes of the September 14th, 2023 work session be approved. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, let it be known by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Let the record reflect that the motion carries unanimously. Members of the board, you know that we have the privilege and the opportunity to appoint 4 members to the Wilson Community College Board of Trustees. Our 4 appointees are Dr. Carol White, who is now the chair of the trustee board, Mr. Mark Johnson, Mr. Tom Fowle, and Mr. Ken Jones. I know that Dr. White, Mr. Johnson, and Mr. Fowle are here. Did Mr. Jones come in? Well, we recognize each of those members, and we ask Dr. Carol White and the other trustee members if they would come forward for a special presentation to the board.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
As Dr. Finch has stated, we were appointed by the Wilson County Schools to serve on the Wilson Community College Board of Trustees. Under State Statute 115D-20, the trustees' work is described. One of those is the election of a president. You will see under each slide a different role based on what the slide's information contains. In the fall of 2022, Dr. Tim Wright announced that he would be retiring. As such, the board decided to hire executive leadership associates to conduct a national search. Out of that national search, along with that national search, the board decided to also host 2 community meetings. One was to find out the characteristics that the community would like to see in a president, and one was to have for them to have an opportunity to interact with those that would be selected, possibly be selected. Out of those, 10 candidates were selected to be interviewed, and of those, Dr. Jamie Woods was selected to and began her service June 1st, 1923. 2023, thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to come. My name is Tom File. During the past few years, we've been working on a lot of different projects. One of the most notable was Mitchell's Hair Design. It is located over near Fred's Food Club off of Tarboro Street. We did purchase that property with county's help to establish a hair cutting department for the college there. They also plan on exploring other opportunities for that type of service. We are currently reviewing the support traffic flow across the campus at Sally B. Howard and Wilson Community College. That is ongoing, and a little bit complicated, but we will be working to get that solved. And Building S new construction is completed. There is an open house and ribbon cutting in the next few weeks. I would suggest and invite y'all to come to that. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for having us this evening. I'm Mark Johnson on the Board of Trustees as well. The trustees have been working with different agencies throughout the county, and we just want to go to a few of those with you now. Wilson Academy of Applied Technology partnership is actually one of the things I'm most proud that we do at Wilson Community College, because basically it allows us, Wilson Community College, to work with the Wilson County Public Schools as well with local industry, getting a workforce ready for our young people to come in and go into the workforce. As you know, technology changes every 2 or 3 years, so that we have to be on the forefront of new technology and things that are going to be coming online. Also, the early college program that many of you are familiar with allow some of our high school students to receive college credits while they're still in high school. And that's a very strong program that we have at the community college. Also, we have a articulation agreement with the Sally B. Howard School, which is right adjacent to the college, and that allow students to take biotechnology classes that can be transferred over to Wilson Community College, and they will receive credit for that coursework. Of course, we are working hard with Lead Technology Campus. The Building S is actually part of Wilson Technology Campus that we will be having a ribbon cutting in the next week or so. So please come out. Very, very nice building, very good construction. Work effectively with WCC operation and financial staff to ensure that the college is on track with projects. We get reports every month from our subcommittee, our financial subcommittee, to make sure that we are in good standing in terms of financially. We also make sure that we have internal audits and controls to make sure that we can account for the money that is being expended. Articulation agreement across various independent colleges and universities, which, with the exception of Barton College, Wilson Community College do have an articulation agreement with the North Carolina college systems, those schools that are part of the college system, where students can come, take classes at Wilson Community College, and those classes will transfer to a 4-year institution if they make a minimum of a C in their course of study.
I will speak on behalf of Mr. Ken Jones. Under State Statute 115D20 also is the one that says that we can perform other tasks, such acts as the exercise of the foregoing specific powers. In other words, in the public school system, I think you call it other duties as assigned. So that's kind of what this one encompasses. So each one of us serves on a designated subcommittee. I am, as the chair, I have to serve on the financial subcommittee. The previous 4 years, I served on the instructional subcommittee. This time around, Mr. Mark Johnson is on the instructional committee, and Mr. Tom Fowles is on the Building and Grounds Committee. And Mr. Ken Jones also serves on the Buildings and Grounds. We are responsible for revision of the naming guidelines and selection of buildings, the campus safety review, which we have asked that they give us a review at every board meeting of where we are with a plan for safety, especially with everything that's going on campuses at this point. That plan started over a year ago as a review, but we get regular updates on that. And new cameras, looking at how we are going to ensure that the buildings are safe, having quicker lockdowns and things like that. Those are the types of things we're looking at with that. The overview of the 10-year master plan, we look at each one of those, everything that was in there for the next 10 years, we are looking at, whether it's looking at new buildings, new coursework, things like the traffic flow, the safety, everything that was in there, the redesign of the campus, all of that comes before that board. The attendance at annual graduations, we do that. Scholarship banquets, we have one coming up soon, all the pinning ceremonies, and then our own growth at the annual conferences that they provide through the State Trustees Association. So that's just a few of the things that we do, but just wanted to let you know how we are appreciative of the opportunity to serve that's provided by this particular board. And we thank you so much for the opportunity to give you an update today.
We'll give you a round of applause. We certainly thank you. It's been our pleasure to appoint you all to serve as our voice and representatives on the trustee board for the community college. We thank you for the update. This allows members of the board as well as members of the community to see the faces of the persons that we appoint on a yearly basis. You have a rotation, and each year we get to reappoint members or name persons to serve on the trustee board. We thank you all for your continued support, your valuable assistance along with the foundation board as we moved forward in preparing for and now having Watt on campus for your housing, both Watt and our WECA, both of our early college programs on your campus, and we thank you for the service that you give. Thank you again. Mrs. Powell?
If I may, I believe, since I've been on the board, this is the first time we've had a presentation given to us.
Yes.
By our, yes. I
Yes.
just want to commend them on doing that, and we appreciate you.
This was something that I have been asking for the last
remember
few
that,
years, so that
yes.
all of the board would have the knowledge of who is representing us on the community college board.
Yes,
So we
thank you.
thank you. All right. Good news presentation. Mr. Borkin, if you would assist Dr. Mills.
Board members, audience members, we have several good news awards tonight. If I could ask Danny Williams Jr. to please come forward. Hey, Danny. Step on. Don't be shy, I know you're not. Tonight, we want to recognize Executive Director of Transportation Danny Williams Jr. for being selected as a 2023 Rising Star in Student Transportation by School Transportation News. He was in the top 10 out of 60 finalists from more than 13,000 public school districts across the nation. Mr. Williams will be featured in the October edition of School Transportation News magazine. His experience in school transportation began 18 years ago when he was a bus driver as a student at North Johnston High School. He was the very last student in that district to be able to drive a bus while in high school. That was not because of any issues, though. Okay, I do know the story. Okay, he was the very last student in that district. During his career, he has served in the capacities of Site Transportation Coordinator, Area Transportation Coordinator, District Lead Transportation Coordinator, Transportation Supervisor, Assistant Director of Transportation, and Executive Director of Transportation. As you can tell, he's all about transportation. We congratulate Mr. Williams on this accomplishment and can't wait to read the article featuring him next month. Congratulations, Danny. We're very proud of you. He's very shy. It might take a few chances to. There you go. Okay. At this time, I would like to ask Kinsley Hill and Isaac Edgerton to come forward, please. Come on down with Mr. Boykin. Kinsley and Isaac are being recognized for winning second place in the North Carolina Association of Soil and Water Conservation Essay Contest. They won first place in their grade levels at the local and regional level last school year to advance to the state level. The contest theme was Water, the Cycle of Life. They received $100 for winning at the regional level, which is also known as the area district level, and $100 for winning at the state level. They were students at Elm City Middle when they entered the contest. Isaac is now a freshman at the Wilson Academy of Applied Technology. Congrats, Isaac. Kinsley is an 8th grader at Elm City. You're finishing up. We are so proud of them and their work. They represented our school system so well, and obviously you know a lot about water and some good writing to go along with it. So we want to congratulate you and thank you for representing us so well. So we want to catch your pictures, and if there's anyone here, which I see some folks with you, that want to take pictures as well, once we freeze them, you may want to move quickly, and then we'll hold them up here. How's that? So congratulations. We good? Congratulations. And if I could ask Emily Zuniga to come forward, please. I knew I'd take a beating from you. All right. As you can tell, Emily and I get to banter back and forth. But let me tell you about why Emily's being recognized. She's our Transportation Information Management Systems Growth and Planning Specialist. That's a lot. That's a lot to say. We are recognizing her for the amazing job she did spearheading a project to revamp the district's web-based school locator and attendance boundary map using Locate My School software. We appreciate her attention to detail on the project. Families and community members are saying great things about the platform. It replaced a system that was outdated and not very user-friendly. Through the software, families can search which schools correlate to their home address, see school boundaries, find directions from an address to its assigned schools, see aerial maps of the district and surrounding area, and obtain school and district contact information. The platform is also beneficial for district and school staff who need to verify addresses for school assignment and reassignment. The link can be found on our Wilson County Schools website under Families and Locate My School. And I have to tell you, Emily's worked with us on several other mapping projects, and she really is very talented, and her attention to detail is beyond reproach. And she's done several projects for us along with this one, where I think she's the next GIS expert on staff, and we're going to have a chance to put that to test. She speaks nerd like I do, which is really nice when it comes to maps. So we applaud Emily for her hard work and are grateful for your expertise and all that you bring to our transportation department and how this has helped families and the district. Thank you, Emily. Madam Chair, that finishes our good news for tonight.
Thank you so much. Good news, good news. It's always wonderful to have the good news. Under the chairman's report, very brief tonight. We applaud the staff of the successful summer learning conference that was held prior to the opening of school. School has reopened. At the last meeting, I said we were about to open. We have now opened, and we had a successful opening, and things are running well. We're running well until Mother Nature said, let's have a hurricane. And so with the advice given to us by emergency management and through the weather service, we erred on the side of caution and closed school. And lo and behold, it was a non-event for us. But please know that we always work on behalf of our students and our staff and trying to keep people safe. So we'll talk about the change of our calendar in just a little bit. And other than that, I'm going to let Dr. Mills in just a minute share some wonderful news. And that will take a little bit of time, I believe. So I'm done, and Dr. Mills, it's on you for superintendent's report.
Madam Chair, board members, audience members, I want to take just a moment on behalf of the school system and acknowledge the sudden passing of Rhonda Nixon with the Foundation YMCA. Rhonda was a big supporter of the school system and was involved in lots of programs and initiatives over the years, most recently YGIG, but I knew her enrollment more with the Gentleman's Agreement and her pride. She was also a Bedingfield alum, and so Rhonda will definitely be missed, and her family's in our thoughts and prayers. I specifically had numerous conversations with Rhonda where she was always pushing to get to the next thing for the programs and what she was working with, and she was very passionate about it, whether it was at Big Lots or at the Bedingfield football game where she was quite prolific with a cowbell. That's one of my stay around with you memories. So again, wanted to send thoughts and prayers to her family. So I will share just a couple things real quickly, and we'll spend our time sharing some really good news. We did have a visit from WRAL reporter Brian Schrader last week for his Teacher of the Week segment. He surprised two of our teachers, Rock Ridge's elementary and kindergarten teacher Heather Renaud and Bedingfield High agricultural teacher Bryant Glover. Mr. Renaud is our district teacher of the year, and Mr. Glover is our CTE teacher of the year. They did a great job being interviewed and talking about their teaching careers. So the segments will be coming up shortly. Let's see, Heather's will be airing this Wednesday at 8 a.m. on Fox 50 News and again at noon on REL. And Bryant's will be at a later date, and we'll find that out and let everyone know. So thanks to Ms. Lynch for pulling that together and being with them when they visited, but I think they had a great time. That was a fun event, but I don't think it's every day that we want REL coming through and visiting, because I think that everyone was just very excited. So it was a good day. We're also excited that Barnes, Hearn, Vic, and Wales were selected for the USDA's Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program. This program provides students in these schools with a variety of fresh fruits and veggies for snacks 3 times a week. Grant funds cover the cost of those snacks. And the goal is certainly to create a healthier school environment and expose students to different types of fruits and vegetables. Last week, the students got a chance to try cantaloupes, beets, not my favorite, and mangoes, some of which they had not tried before. So we're grateful that these schools were chosen for the grant, and we hope to be able to expand it to all elementary schools in the future. So thanks to our child nutrition department for going for that, and our grant writer to help with that as well. So, and one last reminder before I switch gears is that the Wilson Education Partnership is holding a bowling fundraiser on October 19th at 6 p.m. at Westview Lanes. You can find information on the Wilson Ed Partnership and our school system social media sites. You can register at any time, even the day of the event. That's how much we care. The cost is $150 for teams of 4, and that cost covers 3 games, the world's most popular shoes, pizza, I added that part, and soda. All proceeds will benefit our students and schools. And so we encourage you to have teams that come out. No one that we know of can bowl worth anything, so there's no pressure. And if there's a ringer out there, good luck to you, but there's no expectations except to support WEP and to have a good time. So, and with that, Dr. Fitch, board members and audience members, I've asked Scott Sage, our Executive Director of Accountability, to share what he's prepared, and that is the accountability results for the 22-23 school year. I want him to focus on some of the main pieces, but I will go ahead and preface all these with, it is really, really outstanding results. And our teachers and students and its staff, administrators should be very proud of all the hard work they represent. But it is a wonderful pattern of performance, and the sustained progress it shows is very powerful, and we have much to be proud of, and our performance is outstanding. So, Scott, with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Dr. Finch and members of the board, I've been looking forward to this since May. I get preliminary information. I've been telling instructional services, I've been telling the senior staff, it's going to be good, it's going to be good, it's going to be real good. And it's been a long summer for me, just waiting for everything to be finalized, and it is now, so I hope you're ready for some fun.
Yes.
So our accountability highlights, Wilson County Schools, we increased our grade level proficiency by 5.4%. And that gives us a 2-year increase of 15.2%, which is the 6th highest gain over that same period of time in the state. We've moved up in the state rankings among all 115 school districts. We're now 41st, and we're 4th in our region. We just beat Johnston County, which was very satisfying. And I already know who's next. They're on our list. We're going to get them. But it's just really wonderful to see the rise in terms of Wilson County's performance compared to our peers. We're only 4.4% away from a top 20 ranking out of the 115 districts. So that is exciting. Our proficiency gains by subject were up in almost every subject. The one subject that was down had a slight slide, but overall, 21 to 25 schools increased overall proficiency. We added over 700 proficient scores during summer testing. And this is another personally satisfying one to me. Our cohort grad rate is the highest ever for Wilson County schools.
Sweet.
Every elementary school met or exceeded growth. And if you remember last year, I told you the same thing, so it's not a fluke. 21 to 25 schools met or exceeded EVOS growth, and we had 9 schools that exceeded. We have 2 schools that are in the top 5% for growth. That'd be Forest Hills and Wilson Early College. Lucama and Gardner's are also in the top 10% for EVOS growth of all schools in North Carolina that have a growth score. And for our district, this is the greatest number and percent of schools meeting or exceeding growth ever. Wilson Early College has
It's
kept
okay
their...
to clap, Bill. It's okay. I'm good with that. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Wilson Early College has kept their school performance grade of an A, and they were joined by 2 of our friends, Rock Ridge and Watt. We do have Gardner's, Lucama, and New Hope that had a school performance grade of a B, and we had 8 schools that were very close to the cutoff score for a B. And then we have the fewest low-performing schools ever, that would be 3. This is a new slide, but I felt like we wanted to include it because it fits the overall theme that our incredible performance is far-reaching. So just to tell you briefly, our ACT average composite score is the highest since 2018. Our AP exam passing rate at 61% is the highest ever, better than it was our former high last year. We had 8 graduates earn the AP capstone diploma, and 84 students were recognized based on their performance on AP testing. In our IB program, 11 out of 12 students that were in the program earned the IB diploma, which is, as you all know, very rigorous, very difficult to do. So that is a great celebration, and 46 out of 60 IB exams, which is 77%, earned passing scores. That is also the best ever for the IB program. Wilson County is 2% away from erasing the pandemic learning loss, and for the first time ever, we are performing higher than the North Carolina average by 1.6%. We are the top of the fold. Okay, so we told you 21 of 25 schools increased their overall proficiency. Just to highlight a couple, if you'll see Margaret Hearn there, they increased 20.7%. Lee Woodard, almost 14%. Vic Elementary, a 16% gain. Springfield, a 13% gain. Those are all noteworthy. We've also got a little bit of extra information in here about the schools that didn't meet. Daniels, they follow a different model. It would have been nice for them to have the higher score, so we can't legitimately say 25 out of 25, but just kind of, pointing that out. And also Wave performed pretty close to how they did last year, and they're a small school where 1 or 2 scores will make the difference. And Wilson Early College Academy, I consider that a win. They maintain over 90% proficient on EOG testing, so I call that a win. So you all have the testing and performance data that's broken down by subject and school. And so rather than spend a lot of time on this, because we could get really deep in the weeds, I'm just going to go to some of the summary slides. So slide 13, you'll see the district score at the far right. This is overall reading for elementary schools. And you can see that we have closed the gap in elementary reading. We're at 55.4, which is exactly where we were in 2018-19. And you can see the trend is still going up. To forward to the elementary math slide, which is slide 17. Again, you can see we've closed the gap since COVID there. We're at 63.5% proficient, and the trend is going up. And also the science is going up as well. For middle school, I'm going to get to a summary slide here, 6th through 8th grade reading. You can see that we are on the upswing. We're very close to where we were a few years ago, just a couple points away in reading. And then our summary slide for math. You can see that we're about 7 points away in math. So that's our biggest opportunity that we are vigorously working on even now. But again, it's exciting for me to say that I think we're further along now on day 10 than we were last year at day 45. So better things are still coming. 8th grade science, that's the one that has the downtrend, and we're actively working on that as well. Testing performance data for high schools. Biology, just a few points away from where we were pre-COVID. English 2 never really dropped a whole lot, so that COVID gap has been erased. We're back to where we were, and we are on the upswing. Math 1, we had great gains last year, dipped just a little bit this year. And Math 3, our performance for Math 3 is at the highest ever. So our district overall results, anytime you see that orange go above the black line, what that's saying is we're outperforming North Carolina. So this is 3rd through 8th grade reading, and you can see that overall we're at 53.3, which is ahead of North Carolina. Here's 3rd through 8th grade math. Again, outperforming North Carolina. Combined science scores, outperforming North Carolina. And so when you look at the EOG subjects all combined, 56.1% for EOG. Our EOC, these are all subjects, and you can see we're very close. I think it was 0.4 of a point away from North Carolina. And then when you put it all together, Here we are at 55.2, 1.6 points ahead of North Carolina. Cohort grad rate. There it is, 83%. Had to go all the way back to 2015 to find the next highest one. So it's great to be back in the 80s. Our grad rate is a result of us keeping the high standards. We could have made it easier for people to walk across the stage, but we didn't. We kept the high standards, and that right there is proof that students can meet our high expectations. So I'm super proud of that grad rate. And the grad rate increase, it was broad-based. It's against all, or it was enjoyed among all different demographic groups that we have. Economically disadvantaged, students with disabilities at the highest ever. And so all of those tremendous numbers contributed to that overall grad rate. Our read to achieve data, if you look from 21 to 22 to 23, that blue bar, that's kind of the base rate. That's our performance on the end of grade or BOG. And then when you add to that in the orange, those are students that are passing third grade reading on another measure. And then you add on top of that, the gray bar at the very top, that is students that pass something in summer reading camp. So doing well there. This one right here could kind of get you in the weeds, but if you look at the third highlighted yellow line, that's where we were after summer reading camp, 83.6% proficient on grade 3 reading for Read to Achieve. Of our 16.4% students that did not meet the grade 3 reading, we had 26 who were retained in third grade, 88 were placed in fourth grade transition class, and many of those students will satisfy the conditions for Read to Achieve. So they've got this year to do that as well. The TRC, or text reading comprehension, that's K through 3 reading. Kindergarten and first grade have got a very dramatic rise there. Second and third grade have got a rise as well. So that's exciting to see. Math for K through 2. You can see that kindergarten is at the highest ever. First grade is also at the highest ever. And second grade is on the upswing. Had a little bit of a dip from last year, but we're getting back to where we need to be also in second grade. But to me, this is encouraging because we've got those kindergartners moving to first grade and those first graders moving to second grade. So our goal is to build on the success of the prior year. All right, this is my favorite part, EVOS growth. This is where we're talking about, did a student get 1 year's worth of education out of being in our schools for 1 year? So this is a 3-year slide, and when you look at 2019, that's the 3 years ago data point that we have growth for schools. And you can see there were 4 schools in elementary at that point that didn't meet growth. But if you look over the last 2 years, every single elementary on here have met and exceeded growth, and there's a definite trend there. For middle schools, I'm very pleased to announce that Elm City Middle and Spate have met the growth standard. We got a little bit of work to do at some other schools. Forest Hills has been a real standout, exceeding growth for 3 years in a row. For our high schools, got some great growth there at our schools. And again, I think we're at a better point here at day 10 than we were at day 45 last year at Fike. So I'm already looking forward to next year. I'll tell you about that. So here's our overall growth index score. You can see highlighted there on the elementary side, in case you miss it the first 2 times. All elementary schools met or exceeded growth. And if you look at the absence of red as you go from left to right, you can see the definite trend in terms of schools meeting growth. And again, this is the greatest number of met and exceeded schools that we've ever had as a district. Okay. This slide right here, I know it's got a lot of information on there. This one has information about the 3 low-performing schools. I did want to point out, if you look in the upper right corner, where it says Barnes Elementary, 54%, a D. Just so you know, they missed it by 3 test scores, literally 3 test scores. 3 more proficient scores, they would have been a C, and we'd be down to 2 lower performing schools. You and I agree that 1 low performing school is 1 too many, but we're addressing it, and we're getting that number down to manageable numbers, and hopefully pretty soon it'll be 0. I do want to take a moment to just share with you an analogy. I don't know if any of you are NBA basketball fans or not, specifically NBA basketball fans from 1990. In 1990, the Chicago Bulls took the defending champs to Game 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals, and fans in Chicago would say, man, that was a great year for Chicago Bulls fans. But fans in Chicago also would have told you in 1990, something special was fixing to happen. They had everything in place, we were on the rise, and just like the Chicago Bulls fans knew the best was yet to come, I'm proud to say the best is yet to come. I'm proud to be part of something special because you can see this is not an accident. Wilson County Schools is rocking.
We thank you so much for the hard work that has gone into this, to our teaching staff, our entire school, family, and community, because it's more than just the teachers, it's everybody in the system who has a hand, whether it's the child nutrition service workers, whether it's the custodians, the bus drivers that encourage our students. We certainly applaud all of the work that they have done, but we applaud the work that the students have done in reaching these milestones and the support that they have gotten from their families and from the community. So with that said, I'm going to ask you to join me in another round of applause for the improvements that we are seeing. I agree, Mr. Sage, the best is yet to come. We will keep our eyes open, and if we've done it once and we've done it twice, we can strike again and do it yet a third time and continue that upward trajectory that we are now seeing. So thank you very much. That concluded your report, Dr. Mills?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, next on our agenda is the opportunity for the public to address the board. We remind you that each person is granted 3 minutes for his or her presentation. This portion of the meeting is for the board to hear matters of interest from the public. However, obscene or vulgar statements, personal attacks, and statements reasonably perceived to be disruptive or imminently threatening to the orderly operation of the meeting shall not be permitted. This evening, we have 4 persons who have signed up to address the board. The first is Dr. Charles Bayo regarding school policy questions.
Good evening, folks.
Good evening.
I have a few questions and a comment to make. First one is there a school board policy that allows a parent to opt out of having their child being seen by a social worker, a psychologist, a therapist, a counselor, and/or a healthcare provider of any kind? If a student requests to be seen by any of the healthcare personnel mentioned in the previous question, or a member of the school staff makes this request, are the parents informed of this situation before there is any interaction between them and the student? Is there a school policy that does not allow a parent to attend a meeting between their child and the above-mentioned healthcare personnel? Next, comment. There are major concerns when it comes to school board putting health clinics in the schools and students being counseled by social workers, psychologists, and the such without the parents' knowledge. Please justify how the school board can spend all this money on healthcare clinics, critical race theory, and social emotional learning programs when there is a significant educational deficiency in Wilson County schools. True, there has been improvement in the grade proficiency, but the student's education is far from adequate. The overall proficiency score for the 2021-22 school year was 49.8%. The 22-23 school year proficiency report was an improvement of 5.4%. This brings the proficiency score for all students for the school year of 2022 to 2023 to 55.2%. This is a step in the right direction. Unfortunately, the overall score is lacking. The 55.2% proficiency of all students in Wilson County means that 44.8% of all the students are lacking proficiency at their grade level. You have to ask yourself, when these students enter the workforce, will they be successful in their endeavors? Will they contribute to the well-being of our society? Is the education preparing them to contribute to the society of the United States of America? Will the vast majority be literate, proficient in math, science, history, civics? Will they know the history of this great country? And finally, what are the school board's positions on recently passed Parents' Bill of Rights law? How does the school board intend to uphold this law? Will the school board be transparent in their implementation of it? In other words, will the school board allow parents to see for themselves how they are implementing and enforcing it? And then how will the social emotional learning program be affected by this law? Thank you.
Thank you. Kathy Webb, regarding gender identity.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this. And this is, I'm expressing my feelings and lack of knowledge on the gender identity issue. My feeling is that, especially elementary school, I don't quite understand it because I think I've had some child psychology. At that age, a lot of kids are pretending and playing to be people that they're not, things that they're not. That's normal. That's normal growth that I look at it that way. So I don't know that the children are actually confused about the gender. They've always imagined being someone else during playtime. They pretend to be cowboys and Indians, Barbie and Ken. In plays, and I've had those when I was younger, we pretended to be things that we're not. And I think that's normal for this age group. I feel like somebody is telling them that they're confused about their gender. And I would like to get that straight. So this is what I would like to know, what Wilson County Schools policy is. I would like to know the position and the qualifications of the person within the school setting who has been given the authority to question a child, and who notices these things, how it's brought to the attention of whoever, and then what is done at that point. And what written guidelines do they follow? Does Wilson County Schools have something in writing that whoever's in charge of doing this is utilizing? I just feel like the child's educational day is being disrupted by the confusion on the pronouns that we're talking about, that was talked about at the last meeting. But I do want to know the procedure. If there is something that looks confusing to a person, does that person, are they qualified to say there's something wrong with the child? Take the child to whoever is designated to hear the information. So I would like some information on that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mariana Cruz, regarding resources for EC children.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hola, buenas tardes. Soy Mariana, soy la mamá de 2 niños. Estoy aquí por el más pequeño. Desde que empezó kinder he tratado de encontrar la mejor ayuda para él, pero en la escuela Jones Elementary no me tomaron en cuenta, aunque les llevé las evaluaciones del doctor que mi hijo necesitaba ayuda específica, ignoraron las necesidades de mi hijo. Según la administración, el problema era el idioma. Me sugirieron que esperara de 2 a 3 años porque mi hijo aprendiera el idioma, y yo no creo que esto era una respuesta aceptable. Volví a insistir en primer grado y le pedí a su terapeuta que me acompañara. Entonces, solo tomaron en cuenta la evaluación de ella y dejaron fuera su diagnóstico de ADHD. Pasaba el tiempo y no obtuve respuestas, pero festejé cuando la administración cambió porque pensé que sería diferente. Cuando llevé nuevamente la evaluación en diciembre de 2021, aún no obtuve respuestas. Busqué ayuda fuera de la escuela y me acompañó una enfermera asignada a mi hijo. En febrero 2022, a ella le dijeron que yo trataba de buscar ayuda para mi hijo, pero no tenía nada más, no tenían información. No lo podía creer. Después de que yo ya había llevado evaluaciones múltiples veces, me dijeran eso. Y hasta ahora mi hijo solo tiene terapias de lenguaje, una Easy Teacher y terapia ocupacional, que por cierto, al principio del año, en realidad era una asistente de Easy Teacher. Hasta este punto yo no estoy segura que esto es realmente lo que mi hijo necesita para que llegue a sus metas escolares. Ignoraron las necesidades de mi hijo que por derecho le corresponden. Ahora me gustaría saber qué acciones tomarán al respecto. Ya son más de 5 años con esto de ir y venir a la escuela. Estoy detrás de la administración. ¿Y qué recursos tienen para las familias de Easy? ¿Tienen estos recursos en español para madres como yo que no hablan el idioma? Es difícil lidiar con un diagnóstico de necesidades específicas para nuestros hijos. Y ahora con la indiferencia de la escuela, quiero asegurarme que ninguna familia pase por esto. Thank you. Gracias.
Thank you. Flora Herrera Picasso regarding budget for interpretive services.
Good afternoon. My name is Flor Herrera Picasso, and I'm the Executive Director of Casa Azul de Wilson. It has been a while since I've been to these meetings, and I look forward to continue to work in collaboration with Wilson County Schools. I want to thank Wilson County Schools for recognizing Hispanic Heritage Month. As we know, 20% or so of the student population identifies as Hispanic or Latino. With that being said, I'd like to ask if the school could share the demographics of all the teachers employed by Wilson County Schools. It is important to have faculty and administrators that reflect the population they serve. As you know, Casa Azul de Wilson seeks to be a supplemental resource in order to better serve the Spanish-speaking families of Wilson County Schools. We provide bilingual college advising and interpretation services. I'd like to know what is the interpretation budget for this school year and if a potential partnership with our organization is possible in order to better serve our Spanish-speaking families. It is my understanding that the interpretation budget is an as-needed basis. Of last year's budget, how much was used? Do you keep a record of how many requests for interpretation took place each year? Would that information be helpful in order to understand the need? Casa Azul de Wilson would love to partner with Wilson County Schools in order to conduct such research. Hola, mi nombre es Flor Herrera Picasso y soy la directora ejecutiva de Casa Azul de Wilson. Ya tiene tiempo desde la última vez que asistí a una de estas reuniones y quiero continuar trabajando en colaboración con Wilson County Schools. Quiero agradecer a Wilson County Schools por reconocer el mes de la herencia hispana. Como sabemos, aproximadamente el 20% de la población estudiantil se identifica como hispana o latina. Dicho esto, me gustaría preguntar si la escuela podría compartir la demografía de todos los maestros empleados por Wilson County Schools. Es importante contar con profesores y administradores que reflejen la población a la que sirven. Como saben, Casa Azul de Wilson busca ser un recurso complementario para mejor servir a las familias hispanohablantes de Wilson County Schools. Brindamos servicios bilingües de interpretación y asesoramiento universitario. Me gustaría saber cuál es el presupuesto de interpretación para este año escolar y quiero preguntar si es posible una asociación con nuestra organización para mejor servir a nuestras familias hispanohablantes. Tengo entendido que el presupuesto de interpretación se usa según sea necesario. Del presupuesto del año pasado, ¿cuánto se utilizó? ¿Tienen un registro de cuántas solicitudes de interpretación se realizaron cada año? Sería útil si esa información se investigara para comprender la necesidad. Casa Azul de Wilson le encantaría asociarse con Wilson County Schools para realizar dicha investigación. And lastly, real quick, of the data that was shared, I noticed that the Hispanic seniors were the lowest graduation rate. Can we dig a little deeper to understand why that is? What is creating this pattern? what intentional support can we provide to prevent this pattern? And Casa Azul de Wilson would love the opportunity to support in any way we can. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members of the board, how would you like to have the responses for those who address the board? Are you directing the chairman to respond to the concerns, directing the administration to respond to the concerns, referring the matter to a board committee, referring the matter to the administration, or placing the matter of concern on an agenda for a future meeting? What is your pleasure?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Breen?
I think we should direct administration to respond.
I agree.
All right, Dr. Mills, the pleasure of the board is to have the administration to respond to those who address the board with their comments and their concerns. Okay. Members of the board, we are now at the point of committee reports. We'll begin with Mr. Mercer for the Administrative Services Committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This afternoon at 3:30, the Administrative Services Committee met, and with administration represented. We had one information item, one action item. The information item was Wilson County Schools disposal of surplus property report. And Dr. Williams, would you share the highlights of that, please?
Yes, sir. From our last auction that was held at Winstead Elementary School, our total earnings or profit from that particular auction was $30,961.51.
That was the profit.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Any questions? And I think also we're having another such event on October the 7th, which is a Saturday.
Yes, sir, that's correct. October 7th will be the next auction.
Any questions, comments? Hearing none, we'll move to the action item, which is contract requiring board approval. We have Kelly Transit, which is a contract for transportation for students with disabilities, particularly those with wheelchair confinement. And we have another contract with White House, I think, that has handled most of the transportation for different situations. But because of overflow, and would you give the particulars on that, please?
Yes, sir. That is correct. We do have White House Transit, who is our primary contract transportation service. Of course, we also have our yellow buses that we utilize for transportation for students with disabilities. This contract with Kelly Transit is to alleviate and to assist us with any additional students that we may need for transportation, specifically in the area of students in need of transportation that are accessing wheelchairs.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any comments or questions? Hearing none, Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
on behalf of the Administrative Service Committee, I move the full board approve the Kelly Transit contract for transportation for students with disabilities that's not to exceed $300,000 be approved as recommended.
Second.
It has been moved by Mr. Mercer, seconded by both Mrs. Powell and Mr. Breen. that the Wilson County Board of Education approve the Kelly Transit contract for transportation for students with disabilities not to exceed $300,000. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, let it be known by the sign of aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Let the record reflect that the motion carries unanimously.
Madam Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you so much. Members of the board, the Instructional Services Committee met this afternoon. We had several items for discussion, as well as revision of policies for first read and second read of several policies, and revision of a traditional calendar. Under the informational items, there was a contract, two contracts that are presented for both for McGraw-Hill, one for K2 EC reading mastery and K8 corrective reading in the amount of $36,531.30. And then for kindergarten, EC number words, in the amount of $79,585.69. Both of these contracts are under the $90,000 threshold, so these contracts are for information only. Are there any questions?
Madam Chair,
Mrs. Powell?
just a question. Is the EC number was K through 8? Or just?
K through 8, I'm
through 8,
sorry,
right.
yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Next on the agenda was information regarding Department of Public Instruction's guidance regarding the Parents' Bill of Rights. The administration presented us with information regarding Senate Bill 49, or Sessional Law 2023-106, otherwise known as the Parents' Bill of Rights. We were presented with a chart of information that showed us what currently we had been providing and what is new within the Bill of Rights as passed by the legislature. It was also noted that there was information from Superintendent Truitt at the state level regarding the fact that a waiver is being requested from the legislature because there were components of the Bill of Rights that were to be addressed by the 15th of this month. And with the short time and turnaround, it was requested that there be some waivers for that date because the guidelines that the legislature directed the state Department of Public Instruction and the State Board of Education to provide did not have time to be done. So I think that based on a comment from Mr. Mercer, who currently sits on the State Board of Ed as the Raleigh-Dingman winner, that proposed timeline from the state superintendent is January 1, if I am not mistaken. The components of the new law as required language has been made in provisions of our revised policies that we had today for the first read. And again, there has been an ask on the part of the state superintendent for waiver of the timeline that was proposed by the legislature. Members of the board, if there are questions or comments that I have not injected at this point, would you please assist me if you have comments to make? or questions to raise? Okay. Hearing none, then we looked at 6 revised policies. Each of these is a first read policy. As you are aware, we will have 2 readings before the policy is approved. The first policy is Policy 1310 -4002, which is parental involvement. We went thoroughly through the policy that we have on record, and also the policies that are being revised to incorporate the language of the Parents' Bill of Rights. Were there any points that needed to be made at this point? Or will we just move on and share those? There was extensive language discussion about the points that were made and what was being called for at this time. Comments or questions, members of the board?
Nothing additional that wasn't shared in closed or in
In
the
committee?
session.
All right. Then the next on the agenda was a revision of Policy 3210, parental inspection of and objection to educational resources. Again, we had very extensive conversation regarding that particular revision of policy. Any comments from members of the board? Next was revised Policy 3540, Comprehensive Health Education Program, followed by the revision of Policy 4335, Criminal Behavior. Comments? Followed by revision of Policy 4720, Surveys of Students, and the revision of Policy 7300, Staff Ethics and Responsibilities. Hearing none on those particular policies, we now move to the action items. The first of which dealt with revising the 2023-2024. Did I forget something, sir?
This is action items, did you want me
Oh,
to help you with
yep,
that?
yep. I'm going to turn this over to the Vice Chair. No, he doesn't.
Well, I mean, you try to use sign language, that's fine.
I appreciate it wholeheartedly. Thank you so much, sir. Mr. Vice Chair, I turn the meeting over
Thank
to
you,
you
ma'am.
for the action items that will come
Yes,
from
ma'am.
the
Please
committee.
proceed.
Oh, my gosh. Mr. Vice Chair, the first action item is in regard to the revision of the 2023-2024 traditional calendar. We started the year off in a very good way, but then all of a sudden, Mother Nature came into play, and due to weather forecasts and in conjunction with the collaboration with emergency services, Wilson was supposed to be under hurricane conditions, and it was thought that it would be better to be safe than sorry and not put our buses and our children in harm's way on the highway. So August the 31st was considered a non-school day as school was closed. That created the first of hopefully the last of the revisions of the traditional and any calendars that we have for this academic year. It is the recommendation of the staff and that the August 31st day be a non-day instruction-wise, and that because we have hours banked into the schedule, It will not necessitate makeup of time for the students, and that we have June 12th, 2024 to become an optional teacher workday. Therefore, I move on behalf of the Instructional Services Committee that the traditional calendar for 2023-2024 be revised to show that the calendar changes so that June 12th, 2024 will become an optional teacher workday.
Just one second.
Yeah, I just did.
Okay. It's been properly moved and seconded that the full board approve the revised approved the revised 2023-24 traditional calendar, making August 31st non-school day and June 12th, 2024 an optional teacher work day, as recommended by administration and staff. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
It passes unanimously. Back to you, Madam Chair.
The next is also in regards to a revision of the calendar, this time for the early college. Again, because of the hurricane prediction, Thursday, August the 31st was changed from an instructional day also to a non-day. And under the direction and at the request of the administration, the committee is recommending that Friday, May 17th, 2024, become an optional teacher workday, and that Monday, May 20th, 2024, become an annual leave day, and that Tuesday, May 21st, become a holiday.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded that the full board approve the revised 2023-24 early college calendar day be approved by August 31st being a non-school day, Friday, May the 17th, 24 will become an optional teacher work day. May the 20th, 24 will become an annual leave day, and Tuesday, June the 21st, 24 will become a holiday.
I'm sorry, that's a May 21st.
May 21st, excuse me,
No problem.
my mistake. As recommended by administration and staff. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. It carries unanimously, Madam Chair.
Mr. Vice Chair, again, a revision of the 23-24 calendar for our restart schools, and that August 31st, 2023 be considered a non-day, changing it from an instructional day, and that Wednesday, June 12th, 2024 become an optional teacher workday. I move on behalf of the Instructional Services Committee for that action to occur.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded that the full board approve the revised 2023-24 restart calendar by August 31st, becoming a change from an instructional day to a non-day. Wednesday, June the 12th, 2024, become an optional teacher work day, as recommended by administration and staff. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. It carries unanimously, Madam Chair.
Mr. Mercer, the committee then considered 10 revised policies, all for a second read. These were presented at last month's meeting. Corrections were made to the policies that were presented. On behalf of the Instructional Services Committee, I move that the full board approve the revision of policies 1610/7800, professional and staff development, Policy 3101, dual enrollment. Policy 4023/7233, pregnant and parenting students and employees. Policy 4310, integrity and civility. Policy 5008, automated phone and text messaging. Policy 5040, new media relations. Policy 7262, communicable diseases. Policy 7503, teleworking. Policy 7810, evaluation of licensed employees. And Policy 7815, evaluation of non-licensed employees.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded, the full board approve the revision of policies 1610/78, professional staff development, policy 3101, dual enrollment, policy 4023/7233, pregnant and parenting students and employees, policy 4310, integrity and civility, policy 5008, automated phone and text messaging, policy 5040, news media relations, policy 7262, communicable diseases, 7503, teleworking, 7810, evaluation of licensed employees, and 7815, evaluation of non-licensed employees is recommended by administration. As a second read. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. It passes unanimously. Okay, Madam Chair, it's back to you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have discussion and action items. The North Carolina School Boards Association voting delegate listing is asked for. The annual conference will be on, where the delegate assembly meets, will be on Monday, November the 13th. In your packet is a draft agenda for that particular meeting. We qualify for four voting delegates. We have to submit by October the 7th the list of the delegates for the delegate assembly. And I do not recall if it was 3 or 4 who had registered to attend. We have 3 persons who have registered for meeting, which means that the 3 persons attending would be the voting delegates for Wilson County Schools. Is that your pleasure?
Yes.
Yes.
The 3 are myself, Mrs. Powell, and Mr. Mercer. All right, that information will be transmitted to the School Boards Association for their records. Earlier this year, in May, we took a vote on a resolution regarding North Carolina pre-K education in Wilson County. When that vote was taken, it was the intent that this would be a joint resolution. Due to some time conflicts, that did not occur on the part of the county commissioners at the June meeting. But at this past week's meeting, the county commissioners presented and passed its own unanimous resolution in regard to the pre-K education in Wilson County schools. Because they did their separate resolution, we are asking for permission to resubmit the resolution, not saying a joint resolution by the county commissioners and the Board of Education, but a resolution simply as the Wilson County Board of Education. The language of the resolution is what it was in what was initially presented to be a joint resolution, but since they have severed and presented their own, we need to take a vote as to the resolution that we previously had submitted, only it won't be a joint resolution. So what is your pleasure? And I don't know that you want me to reread that entire resolution again. I don't think that it's necessary. Okay, so what is your pleasure in regards to a revision of that resolution that would be only the Wilson County Board of Education?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Breen?
I move that we revise the resolution regarding NC pre-K education in Wilson County Schools as set forth in our board packet. Second.
It has been moved by Mr. Breen, seconded by Mr. Boykin and Mr. Mercer, that we resubmit the Wilson County Board of Education, North Carolina pre-K education resolution. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, let it be known by the sign of aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Let the record reflect that the motion carries unanimously.
Madam Chair,
Mrs. Boyette.
and I'd like to ask if we would share this resolution with any and everyone that we think that might assist us in solving problems that brought forth the resolution.
Absolutely. Thank you for that suggestion. Mrs. Barnes.
Madam Chair and board members, I move that the Wilson County Board of Education go into closed session to consider confidential personnel matters as provided in North Carolina General Statutes 143-318.11A1 and 6 and 115C-319 through 321, to consider confidential student matters as provided in North Carolina General Statutes 143-318.11A1 and North Carolina General Statutes S 115C 403 and the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act 20 U.S.C. 1232G, to consult with the Board of Education attorney and preserve the attorney-client privilege as provided in North Carolina General Statutes 143-318.11A3, and to consider the handling of the following cases: Wilson County Board of Education versus the North Carolina Retirement Systems Division and the Jewel Labs Incorporated Marketing, Sales Practices, and Products Liability Litigation.
Second.
It has been moved by Mrs. Barnes, seconded by Mrs. Boyette, that the Wilson County Board of Education go into closed session to consider confidential personnel matters as provided in North Carolina General Statutes 143-318.11A1 and 6 and 115C-319 through 321, to consider confidential student matters as provided in North Carolina General Statutes 143-318.11A1 and North Carolina General Statutes 115C-402 and the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act 20, United States Code 1232G, to consult with the Board of Education attorney and preserve the attorney-client privilege as provided in North Carolina General Statutes 143-318.11A3, and to consider the handling of the following cases: Wilson County Board of Education versus the North Carolina Retirement System Division, and in regard to Jewel Labs Incorporated Marketing, Sales Practices, and Products Liability Litigation. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, let it be known by the sign of aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Let the record reflect that the motion carries unanimously. We are adjourned to closed session.